What I do is I just break the wrist and I hold it going through. Now when I say I hold it, what I'm doing is accelerating my hand. I'm not holding on to the club. I'm just keeping my hand moving to the target. Now if you notice, my arm and club are going to form a straight line into the finish. I'll show you again. Now look here, we have the arm and the club in a straight line. That means at no point did the club travel faster than the arm. We want that with the driver because we're trying to create distance, but here we're trying to control distance. We're trying to hit at the specific distance to the target. And the best way to do that is to have the arms and club working at the same speed. This also will allow us to be aggressive into the ball and not have it shoot off the club face. So we break our wrists and accelerate into the finish. And one more time, we're going to break our wrist and accelerate into the finish. As we move the pin back and make it a 20-yard shot, I want you to see that it's exactly the same. I set up the same, square to the hole, club face is square, I break the wrist going back, and I accelerate into the finish. You can see the club and the arm still form a straight line. Hinge and hold. And as I accelerate into the finish, you can see the club and the arm form a straight line. Now as I get to 40, 50-yard shots, it'll come up here and it might break slightly. That's not important. What's important is through impact, the club and arm are traveling at the same speed. The leading edge and the bounce are remaining constant for a long period of time. We have a 30-yard shot here. This is where we start to lose our confidence, but we shouldn't. It's just an extension of the hinge and hold, a slightly larger chip. Now, we've already removed one of the variables, just like lag putting. Lag putting, we have backstroke and through, and we keep the through stroke constant as firm as we can. We're using those same principles for this longer chip. We're going to just make a further backstroke using the same acceleration. We don't want to get into this 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock where we have to take the club back so far and ease into it. We're using the hinge and hold method. We're breaking our wrist and accelerating it into the finish. Only our backswing is a little longer than a chip, but a heck of a lot shorter than a full swing. This way I'm able to go into the ball aggressively. I'm going to hit a little chip shot first. I want you to see how similar they are. I break my wrist and I accelerate going through. Everything is the same. I'm going to do the same exact thing. As I accelerated through, my hands and club formed a straight line. This is going to be no different. I'm going to make a further backswing and accelerate into the finish. And you can see the arm and the club are in a straight line. This allows me to go aggressively into the golf ball and not have it shoot off my face. I'm able to control the distance. That's what we're after. We need to be able to get these shots inside our 3-foot circle. This is where we're going to score. This is where we're going to win our championships. It could be a NASA or the club championship, or it could be the Masters. This is where it matters. Now we're at 50 yards. This shot feels so uncomfortable for so many, but once you have the foundation of the hinge and hold method, this shot is just an extension of a chip. We're not doing that much different other than just elongating the chip shot. We're going to break our wrists early. We're going to accelerate into our finish. This isn't even close to a regular swing. We're not taking the club way back and easing into the ball to hit this shot. Heavens no. What's critical about this is the same thing that's critical about chipping and about the 30-yard shot. We need the leading edge. We need the bounce to go through the ground the same about chipping and about the 30-yard shot. We need the leading edge. We need the bounce to go through the ground the same about chipping and about the 30-yard shot. We need the leading edge. We need the bounce to go through the ground the same for as long a period of time. That's where the hinge and hold method comes into play. Once we break our wrist and we accelerate our hands into the finish, the arm and club are traveling at the same speed, making distance control easy. But more than that, the leading edge and the bounce are consistent for a longer period of time through impact, making these shots come off much more consistently. So I'm going to hit a 30-yard shot where I break my wrist and accelerate through. And you're going to see how a 50-yard shot isn't much different from that one. All I do, similar to our lag putting, where in lag putting we took away one of the two variables. We have the backswing length, but the follow-through and the forward swing is at a constant, which is as hard as we feel comfortable swinging. We do that same energy level, that same effort level every time. We just vary the backswing. Same thing when we start elongating our chipping. We get back to 50 yards, all we're doing is going back slightly farther, and we're still accelerating into the ball. So from that 30-yard shot, this 50-yard shot is going to look very similar, only a little longer backswing. We're able to make consistent contact and have these 30 and 50-yard shots feel like chip shots, because our goal is to get each one of these inside our 3-foot circle. I'll show you again. I'm going to make a further backswing and accelerate into the finish. This 50-yard shot is going to look very similar, only a little longer backswing. I'll show you again. I'm going to make a further backswing and accelerate into the finish. So from that 30-yard shot, this 50-yard shot is going to look very similar. So I've taken my 9-iron. I'm going to go to a pin that's about 60 feet away. I'm going to do the same hinge and hold method. It's going to be a shorter swing because the ball obviously is going to come off the face faster since I have less loft, and it's going to be releasing. But I'm going to break the wrist early, and I'm going to accelerate, and notice where my hands are going to finish. They're not going to stop at the ball. So it's the same hinge and hold, break the wrist, and follow through. And you can see the follow through, the arm and the club have formed a straight line, and it's very easy to control distance that way. Watch one more time. Hold it going through as I accelerate into the shot. Now, because I was lazy growing up as a kid, in my backyard when I would hit a bunch of shots from around the green that my dad made, I didn't want to change clubs after every shot. So I learned how to hit each shot with the same club. I'd like to show you how to hit a low running shot with a lob wedge. I have my 60-degree wedge, and the only thing I'm going to do differently is scoot the ball back. That's going to de-loft the club. Now, of course, the club will come into the ground steeper, and it may stick into the grass a little bit, but I'm going to use the same technique, the hinge and hold, break the wrist right away, hold it going through. So the ball's back in my stance, almost off my back foot here. I break the wrist, I accelerate through, I accelerate through, and I'm able to hit a low running shot with a high lofted club. I love chipping. I've done it my whole life. I've had a chipping green in my backyard. I've worked hard on it. The hinge and hold method feels very easy to duplicate. I love hitting shots, but sometimes chip shots around the green are not the best play. In fact, it wasn't until I gave up my ego and love for chip, I couldn't get my lob wedge underneath the ball effectively. And so I learned and practiced putting from off the green. Now, there's really not much difference technique-wise when you putt from off the green. You may want to have the ball a little further in your stance to give it a little more loft, but not necessary. What's critical is that you don't look at the green. You've got to read the fairway. And so many times people look at the green and they feel as though it's going to be fast and they leave it short. They never give it enough effort. So what I try to do is read the fairway, I try to read the speed of it, which is why I always hit a few putts before I go play from off the green. I try to read the break, and I try to get a good feel for it. But really, nothing is different. I keep the same ball position. I just try to look only at the fairway, not the green, which is going to be drastically quicker than the fairway. Oh. Break the wrist and follow through. And variety of shots we can hit around the green. Short game is so much fun to play in practice, but everything stems off of our foundation, our most basic chipping motion, chipping 101. And that's what we're going to go through today, because we're not dealing with a square face putter or such, that there are a million different ways to stroke a putter. When you have so much coverage over the ball because the face is square, it's very easy to make contact, and you can do it a multitude of ways. However, in chipping, you're dealing with a 60-degree wedge where the leading edge is coming into the ball first. And because of that, there's only one way to chip. Everything we do in chipping is designed to keep the leading edge down, and so the most basic movement requires that you do three things. The first is, where is your weight position? It's got to be on your front foot, because if it's on your back foot, the leading edge comes up. So your weight has to be on your front foot. Number two, your hands have to be ahead. Your hands cannot be behind. They have to be in front, creating almost an inverse line. You don't even want it to be straight. You want it to be turned where your hands are ahead. And number three, you have to decide if you're going low or high. If you're going low, the ball's off your back foot. If you're going high, the ball's off your front foot, but it should never be in between your feet. Most people chip with the ball in between your feet, and they've not decided what shot they're going to hit. When the ball's in between your feet, you can't put your weight forward because you'll go over the top of it. If you want to try to hit it high, you have to scoop it, so you put your weight back to try to help it up. You can't chip with the ball in between your feet, yet people, time after time, try to chip with the ball in between their feet. So, the most basic chip here, we're going to go low. Ball's off the back foot. Now, it can vary depending on how low or high you want to go, but it's going to vary off of the back foot. It's not going to move off of that. My hands are ahead, my weight is forward, and I'll hit a low little running shot. Now that came off a little bit too hot and rolled past the hole, so I'm going to go hit the next one high, a little bit higher and softer. The ball will be off my front foot. My weight is still forward, my hands are still forward. You can see that went a lot higher and stopped a lot quicker. Now, if I want the ball to stop more or less, I can adjust the face, but there are three things you have to do when you chip. You have to put the ball off your front foot. To go high, you have to put it off your back foot to go low. Your hands have to be ahead. And your weight is always on your front foot. If you do that, you'll make solid contact every time. It's the most easy, short golf swing in golf, but nobody does it right. Well, very few people. And if you do it right, it couldn't good rhythm to the shot. You don't try to hit it. You're not trying to get distance. You're trying to get the ball up high and soft and onto the green. The average bunkers play on tour, it took place from 10 yards. So I practiced it from 10 yards, trying to get every shot inside that 3-foot circle. How far behind the ball should I hit? At what angle should I hit into the sand? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you continue the motion through the shot. You then will find the right spot to get the ball out. So we break our wrists early, just like the hinge and hold. And look at my hands. Look how high up into the finish they are. That's what's important in bunker play. The most critical element to bunker play is to continue your hands into the finish. Just like putting, just like chipping. We cannot stop our hands. We need to keep the leading edge and the bounce consistent as long as possible, just like out of the grass, just like chipping. The bounce on the club will kick the leading edge up into the ball if we stop our hands and let the club keep going. We have to keep our hands and club traveling together at the same speed, so we keep the leading edge and the bounce as consistent, as similar as possible for the longest period of time. My hands accelerate all the way up into the finish. Look where they are. They're not down here at impact. This does not count too, by the way. You have to accelerate everything up into the finish. Developing this basic rhythm, this basic motion is the most critical element to being a good bunker player. You have to continue your hands into the finish. We're keeping our ball position the same, off of the front foot. We're trying to get the ball high and soft, so what do? We open the face and then adjust our body. Just like when we open our face from off the green using the hinge and hold method, exactly the same. On a good lie, our weight and position will be fairly level, maybe slightly forward, and the ball will pop right on out, as long as we keep our hands moving into the finish. When we have an uphill lie, so what we have to do, we have to set our weight back. We have to shallow out the bottom of the arc. This allows the ball to pop up nicely. We're not doing anything different in our setup. The ball position is the same. We're setting it up the same on uphill lies, the same on basic shots. When we get to a downhill lie, we have to get our weight forward to be able to drive the club underneath the ball. This is where we move the ball fractionally forward in our stance, opening the face just like the lob shot, and we drive the club right behind the ball, popping it up high and soft. Buried lie, very difficult shot to control. We're obviously not going to spin the ball out of this lie. Our hope is to get it up and control somewhat where it rolls out. It's going to have zero spin. This ball is plugged on an uphill lie. I cannot finish high, drive it just behind the ball. I have to keep leading with my hands. I want to stick it into the ground as such. The arm and the club stay in a straight line, driving it right behind the ball. I'm opening the face. My weight is forward because we're trying to keep the club underneath the ball. So my weight is forward. I'm leaning into the hill. I drive it in. And if you notice, the ball popped up, but look, my arm and club are still in a straight line. My hands continued, but it just stuck into the ground. It stayed ahead of the club. I didn't stop my hands and let the club pass. We have a downhill lie. We have our weight forward and we are not going to finish real high. We're going to stick it into the ground with my hand staying ahead of the club. So the weight is really forward, ball is forward, and I'm driving it straight down into the ground. I'm actually not hitting it that hard. I'm not going to take this full swing because the ball's going to come out with no spin, so I have to play for that. So I'm just going to take a little shorter backswing actually on this downhill lie and let the ball pop up. And then it runs out. The long bunker shot is not that hard. A 60-degree wedge, the ball position is the same, the swing is the same, the hinge and hold method, accelerating our hands to the finish. It's the exact same for a long bunker shot. This is as far as I hit my 60-degree wedge out of the sand. If I have a longer shot, you have to hit closer to the ball and take less sand. That's crazy. I'm going to use the same exact bunker shot, using a little less loft, taking a little more club. I'll drop down to a sand wedge. Everything is the same. The ball position is the same. The swing with the hinge and hold accelerating into the finish will be the same. and the ball goes farther. Pitching wedge, sometimes even a 9-iron, hit explosion shots out of the sand upwards of 40, 50 yards. Same everything. Ball position is the same. I always keep the club face slightly open so we have a little bit of bounce. So our goal is to get it inside the 3-foot circle, obviously, but if not there, each foot is critical. Here's a trick shot that you can hit easily and your buddies won't know what in the world you just did. We're going to put 2 balls together and we want to have a lip in the bunker because when we strike this first ball as hard as we can, this second ball is going to race into the lip and hopefully stay in the sand so your buddies don't see it. This ball that we strike is going to shoot really high up in the air, hit the green, and back up 100 feet. That's how we can practice without having to retrieve balls. I like it right off of my heel here, and this allows me a chance for the putter to have reached the bottom of the arc and actually start ascending at impact. It's already reached the bottom of the arc and it's slightly coming up, and the fork and actually start ascending at impact. It's already reached the bottom of the arc and it's slightly coming up, and the fork and actually start ascending at impact. It's already reached the bottom of the arc and it's slightly coming up, and the 4 degrees of loft gets the ball just out of its impression on the green and rolling properly to the hole. Your hands have to continue to the target. All good putters have their hands continue down into the target line. There are 3 things we can do to get the face to square up. The first thing is we can get a heel shafted putter closes more like I have with squaring the putter face up quicker. The second thing, strengthen your grip. The top hand should be a little bit stronger. Promote the closing of the face. This allows us to square up the club face and forces us to follow down the target line, otherwise we'll pull it. This gives the putter head a little more time to square up at impact. So a stronger grip can help us or allow us to extend better down the target line. And the third thing, we can move the ball slightly forward in our stance. So if I putt off of the heel normally, I might move it up just an inch, and it promotes more of a pull, more of a closing of the putter face to help me square it up. A forward press, it allows us to accomplish the one goal, is to continue our hands to the target. Keep it minimal so that if I'm able to put the ball on my instep, I can put a slight forward press. Just that tiny movement there gives us the sensation we can keep our hands ahead, but not de-lofting the putter so much it changes the impact condition. 90% has to do with face angle, where the putter face is aimed. Dave Pelz and I developed this device called the Putting Tutor, and this device is what has allowed me to work on my alignment. It has a line down the middle of this triangle. As I put the face up against it, I know exactly where I'm aimed. I train my eyes to look at that tee. I train my body and shoulders and feet to aim at that tee so that I'm working on my alignment with my body, but most specifically with the putter face. We have moved back a couple of holes so that it's a little bit wider and it's closer to impact. But ultimately, your goal is to be able to use the pro setting and get every ball started online and through the marbles. If I make a good stroke, I should be able to get this ball through the tutor and into the hole if I have proper speed. I can line up perfect. I can aim perfectly. I can start it on the correct line. And if I hit it too easy, I'm going to miss it low. I didn't get the right speed. And if I hit it too hard, I'm going to miss it high. Training our eyes to line up properly, to read the green properly, our touch, to feel the proper speed. At 3 feet, we can make 97 to 100%. But if we move back just 1 foot to 4 feet, that percentage drops down to below 90. And if we move back another 12 inches to 5 feet, that percentage drops down to 75%. And at 6 feet, it falls to 55%. We need to get every putt and every chip inside this circle. We want to go back 25% through 75%. We have a tendency to get a little handsy. We have to keep our grip pressure light to combat that. So I keep my grip pressure light, I go back 25 and go through 75, creating a rhythm with it. 1. I try to keep the steps the same. 2, 25, 75, 3, 4, 5. After 5, I take the balls out of the hole, getting back in the rhythm. 6. Moving over, stepping the same way. 7, 8, 9, and 10. When I'm on the golf course, pressure putt, step to the side and create the same rhythm that this drill, just to keep that rhythm in my head. Show you how to set up the 3-foot drill. I take a 7-iron, I'm trying to extend my 3-foot circle out. I lay the club down and I just pop a tee in the end. I reach over, lay it down, pop a tee in, reach over, and pop a tee in. 6-foot drill. My goal is to get around this circle 1 time. Still thinking 25-75, the same technique as the 3-foot drill. Again, that's my foundation. I try to start at a straight putt. I'm able to see the difference in a hook putt, in a slice putt, and it helps me read the greens out on the course. It's not the easiest to pick up the read. In fact, this you can really see how much it breaks. So I'm playing that 6 inches outside the edge on these 6-foot putts. I'm watching, trying to learn the read, because I know when I get out on the course, that's going to be critical. There we go. The numbers aren't going to lie. We're down to about 55-60% from 6 feet, and that's about what I'm making. In fact, it'd be nice if I could even do a little better. So I'm following the read. I'm not getting discouraged because I know that I'm going to spend a little more time on this and improve it before I go play. We're 70%. Perfect. That's right on the numbers. For the 6-foot drill, I take a sand wedge and I just roll it over. So I pop it in the hole and I just roll it over. If this is the line people are seeing, they're moving it above that line to give it any chance of going in the hole. That's what's happening. Let's train ourselves reading exact amount of break so that every putt truly is a straight putt. If we do that, we don't have to push or pull our putts and compensate for our misalignment or our misreading. We have to train our eyes. We'll use this device to make sure where we're starting the ball is where we think we're starting it. It'll help us aim. Then on the golf course, we will have trained our eyes so when we look up, we know exactly where we're aimed and we're going to start making more putts. We need to be able to identify this without all the help from the aids. But I know exactly what this putt does, where I need to aim, the speed needs to be. And so I'm trying now to be able to do that without the help of all the aids. Now, I have to identify, did I miss that putt because I played too much break? Or did I miss it because I hit it too hard? And obviously I hit it too hard. So I'm going to try to do the same putt with a little bit softer speed and see if I can get it to go back in the hole. Our goal is to get these putts inside 3 feet. It's the 40-50-60 drill where I have to hit 3 putts from each location all inside that 3-foot circle and then finish with a 10th ball from 50 feet. When I first was given this, I said nobody has ever done this. I won the 2006 Masters 2 months after getting this drill from Dave. Technically what we're doing. How far back do we swing? And the second is how much effort do we use going forward? We need to take one of those variables out and make it a constant. We have to keep the amount of energy that we use going forward the same, and that is as much as we can without increasing grip pressure, obviously. On this 50-foot putt, I'm going to try to go through as hard as I can, and I'll vary only the backstroke. So you see the finish was aggressive through the ball. And I hit that ball too hard. So I would have to start over and go back to a new ball. But I'm going to make a shorter backstroke with the same amount of energy going forward, and now the ball went into the 3-foot circle. Now what this is doing is building a reference for the golf course. When I get out on the course and I have a putt of 50 feet, I now have a reference. That's why I also do it uphill and downhill, because when we get out on the course, we need to have something to refer back to from our practice to help us get these putts close. Then I move up to 40 feet. The energy level going forward is the same, just as hard as I possibly can, but I shorten the backstroke. Now, I'm not trying to make this, I'm trying to just get it to creep into that 3-foot circle, and it got just past those tees. I put those tees there as a visual reference for me to know if the ball got into the circle. Now, 40 feet isn't so tough, not nearly as tough as 60 feet. So I'll move all the way back here now. I'm going to have to use a little bit more backstroke, obviously, but the same effort level. So the only variable is how far back I stroke. It's important to know that downhill putts are 3-putted 3 times more often than uphill putts. So let's spend a little bit more time refining our feel and our touch on the lag drill downhill. Now again, this is building a reference for me when I get out on the golf course. I now have a feel of what a 60-foot stroke feels like. And by eliminating one of the variables, which is how hard should I go through the ball, and making it a constant, all I have to do is adjust the backstroke. And because those got in, I would just finish up here now on the 50-footer. I would drop the 10th ball. And that would also be another way where I work on pressure, because this would be my last putt. I would want desperately to get this one in so I didn't have to start all over again, putting from off the green. What's critical is that you don't look at the green. You've got to read the fairway. Read the fairway. I try to read the speed of it, which is why I always hit a few putts before I go play from off the green. I try to read the break, and I try to get a good feel for it. I keep the same ball position. Look only at the fairway, not the green, which is going to be drastically quicker. We also have times where if